Core.
Core. You are listening to Core, a show on Code Zero Radio that plays bands located in the Fox Cities. A show to find and discover new music. Hosted by Andy McNamara.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. If this is your first time tuning in, Fox Cities Core is a live and interactive radio show. We mostly interview bands from the Fox Cities. Once in a while, we interview bands from a little further out. If you never tuned into Code Zero Radio is a live streaming internet radio station. We focus very heavily on the Fox Cities. It's based out of the Fox Cities. So we play music 24/7. We also have a ton of live programming. Please check it out if you haven't done so already. My next guest is an Oshkosh-based musician. You might have seen him on stage with a number of acts, including Walt Hamburger. He's a member of the blues-driven rock band North Wind and the Sun, as well as the blues folk rock band Actual Siblings. I'd like to welcome Texas Butter Todd Balke to Fox Cities Core on Code Zero Radio. Todd, how are you doing?
I am doing well. No, good. I said, yeah, I'm doing good. That's how. And then, how are you doing, Andy?
I'm doing good now.
Oh, all right. I like it.
But you played a show last night at the Oshkosh Main Street Music Festival. How did that go?
I think it went all right. It was a lot of fun, and it was sloppy, but I think that's fine. We messed up. I messed up. Brooke never messes up, but I messed up a few times. But I think that's okay sometimes.
Are you pretty critical about your performances? Like when you're playing, are you actually thinking about, like, if you screw up, does that get into your head and kind of mess with the rest of the performance? Or do you just sort of move on, chalk it up as, all right, that was the first, or that was the second?
I always am, the whole time I'm doing like, oh, don't mess up. Oh, you messed up. And so I am thinking about it a lot, and it happens a lot, but that might be, that might be part of my style because I'm always so rusty and dusty. I don't know.
Well, you say rusty and dusty. It's been a while since you played a show. Like, I mean, you were somewhat knocking the rust off yesterday. Did you guys have to do a lot of practice to kind of get back into shape to play the festival yesterday?
We did. Yeah, we really hadn't practiced like a lot of those songs in almost 3 years. So and we never really practiced that regular anyway. So it was definitely it was nice to practice. Like, oh man, this is so much fun. Like I love playing music. It's fun.
Well, it was good to see you guys, and you were playing with Horace Greene, which, great band, great guys.
Oh, I love them. They're great.
When you saw the band list for the Main Street Music Festival, that probably made you pretty happy to see that those guys are playing right after you.
I was stoked. Yeah.
Was this your first time playing the Main Street Music Festival, or have you played it in the past?
I have. I've played guitar with Walt Hamburger, and I think we did that last year, and maybe a couple other times. Yeah, definitely a couple other times. Yeah, I would accompany him. I think that's the word.
You also played with Walt at, I believe, the Electric City Music Festival in Kaukauna, if I remember correctly.
Wow, yeah. I think
you were at the Electric Company, or one of the. I remember seeing you guys at one of the bars down there. Tim Schweiger, I think, was playing drums.
That's right. That was the first time, like that summer was the first time I had been kind of playing guitar with him, because for years now, like 7 or more years, I've been doing shows with Walt. Like, I would open for him, or relieve him halfway through. do a bathroom break, a couple songs, while he's doing that, and or whatever. He's very generous in having me up, joining him, because I never book stuff myself. So I've done a lot of stuff with Walt. I think that's how, if you know who I am, surprisingly, like that's how you would know me.
How did you and Walt first meet?
He played a house show where I was living, and so I was booked for that because it was my house. I didn't book it; it was the roommate that set it up, and he's like, "Oh, you ever like you want to open for me? Get your foot in the door, and then start, like they'll help you." Because I was just starting out, and and then I just never did the second part of that. I was like, yeah, I'll just keep opening for you. That's cool. Yeah. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to like contact people. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, yeah.
Have you been based out of the Oshkosh area pretty much your whole life, or was that someplace you moved recently?
Oh, I grew up outside of Winneconne, and went to school in Oshkosh, and then moved to Appleton for a quick 2 years, and moved back to Oshkosh. So I've been back in Oshkosh for 6 years.
What do you think of the music scene in Oshkosh? Because is it overshadowed by the Appleton music scene? It seems like sometimes Oshkosh has their own thing going on down there, and sometimes get overlooked when people are talking about the whole scene here up in Appleton.
There's like a clear hierarchy of the Fox cities. Like it kind of goes north to south. Like Appleton is the peak. I'm excluding Green Bay, I guess, but like it's like Appleton. I think Nina Menasha get lumped into that. Oshkosh, and then Fond du Lac. Who knows what's going on down there? And we're all the same thing, but there is that like differentiation that but I don't know. I love Oshkosh. No, I've never said that before, I think, but it's fine. That's what I mean. It's like it's all good. Like there's like stuff happening, but yeah, if you're doing stuff, then you get involved with Appleton, because that's like what's really happening to people. I think that's what people think, at least.
Well, it's weird to me because we're talking about the Oshkosh Main Street Music Festival, which is still going on today. You're performing there today again, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's sort of like it's always the week before Mile of Music, and that gets overshadowed by Mile of Music.
Oh,
which
yeah.
They do have some of the same bands that are playing Mile of Music, but for whatever reason, it's like people just sort of wait, sit around and wait for Mile to come. And I don't know. I mean, I've enjoyed the Main Street Music Festival all the times I've checked it out. Like it was fun yesterday.
That's really cool. I think just that's the nature of, of people around here. We don't travel, like none, like in Oshkosh is 20 minutes away, and people are like, oh, I'll see him at Mile. Like, like that, people don't go places. People don't venture out too much, I think. I don't know.
Did you see a lot of people you knew yesterday at your set?
Yeah, I mean, the whole south wall was like family, friends, and then the whole north wall was like my main friends. Yeah, they hang out with. They come to support. That's very nice.
Do you keep tabs on people that don't come? Like, it's sort of, just to give them grief later. Like, hey, I don't play out that often. Like, why couldn't you show up for 40 minutes?
No, I'm always like, oh, don't actually come. Like, my friend Janelle, she's like, like I can make it, but I'll still be in scrubs. I'm like, yeah, don't come. I'm not asking you to come. Like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm just doing this. I don't, like, it's very nice that people, like, especially like family, and they're like, oh, we'll really try to, like, my parents always, or they'll always show up, and it's like very nice. But I'm like, no, I'm not. You don't have to. Like, oh, I don't know, because that's good. Like sometimes like, that's getting kind of late, or that's kind of far. And I'm like, yeah, don't come. Like, it's okay. I don't know.
Well, I was sitting next to a gentleman named Steve yesterday who spoke with you after the show.
Yeah.
And he was really into your playing. He, was naming off all these blues players during your set that I should go see sometime. And he, was just really into it. We talked before this show about how afterwards he had the criticism, or he wanted to let you know that the vocals were kind of high in the mix.
Oh yeah.
Do you get that a lot, where people are sort of coming up to you after the show and giving you like advice or pointers? And how do you feel about taking that advice?
Well, I don't know if I get anything a lot. I don't play out too much, and that was nice. The guy was like really very nice guy. He's telling me how much he liked it, and just like, oh, if you could just turn those vocals down just a smidge, like just a little bit, like just and I'm like, yeah, man, like it's a little late, but I think I was, towards the end of the set, I started kind of kissing the mic and, getting a little too close, and you could hear the vocal. I'm like, oh, that might be too loud. You could hear it ricochet off the walls, and I'm like, oh, shoot. Nothing. I mean, I probably could have adjusted mic distance, but no, I don't know. People are nice. I love that, people come out to see music. They're generally nice.
Well, in North Wind and the Sun, 2-piece. So you're dealing with just drums and guitar. Have you thought about maybe throwing a bass player in there eventually?
Absolutely. Yeah. My good friend, Aaron Jankowski, you probably have met him.
He was at the show yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's so cute, Andy. It's like the cutest thing. He's like, yeah, I started playing bass. Like I'm like, that's cool, man. I'm like, what are you learning? He's like, oh, I'm learning your songs. And I'm like, okay.
So he's sort of hinting.
I don't know if I think he just maybe, but I'm like, dude, you're joining the band. And he's like, I don't know, I'm not a bass player. I'm like, we're gonna, and we sat down a few times, and he's like come up with stuff, and I'm really hoping that that would open up a lot. Like, just been doing 2-piece out of necessity. It would be nice to have that low end and free up some not as much pressure on holding down the rhythm. I don't know.
Well, and Aaron he has been involved with the band. He did your video for A Long Pointless Goodbye to No One, which the video turned out great.
Oh, he's so good.
Was that something that he just came up to you guys and said, hey, I want to shoot a music video for you guys. Would you mind if I shot it, or did you approach him, or how did that exactly materialize?
We've become like good friends, and he likes what I do, and we were just kind of talking about it, and like he's like, yeah, I would love to shoot a video. We'll just like do it in your garage, and yeah, like it was just kind of we're buds. So, and he does that, and I was like, dude, that would be so cool. And it turned out like better than, like, it looks like we're a real band,
Well, Todd, you're very modest, and it seems like your confidence level about what you do is like kind of in the middle somewhere. Do you struggle with like feeling like you are like actually in a band? It seems like it's harder for you to admit that you are in a band that's really good.
Was
is it
overly kind?
And
but
going back to Steve talking to you after the set yesterday,
yeah,
he's probably telling you he enjoyed it and stuff. Is that hard? Like when he's talking to you yesterday, are you like, I'm not good.
I'm like, no.
I'm not a good guitar player. That like,
no, I'm fine. You know how many songs I have with 2 chords? No, it's like I always just feel like, oh, this is fun. It's like I'm pretending I'm in a band, like when you're a kid and you're singing along to the Backstreet Boys,
I think you're pretty modest, and we had Doozy on a month ago. I don't know if you've heard of Doozy. We had Andy and Dee from the band on, and we talked about imposter syndrome. And Andy said he struggles with imposter syndrome, and that is where you feel like you're sort of not in that. Like I'm up here playing guitar, but I'm not really supposed to be up here because I'm not good. Or when you feel like you're a big fraud and you're going to be found out. Is that how you feel? Do you feel imposter syndrome?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. Like, just like.
And is it just because it's your music that you feel that way? Like when you're playing with Walt, do you have the same feeling or?
Oh yeah. Like I'm like, I'm not adding anything to this. like you don't need me to, like, it's fun to just, I think I get, like, it's nice, the camaraderie of like having more people, and like he's always very nice and like, no, like, that's good, that sounds good. I'm like, what?
Well, I've seen you with Walt numerous times, and you do add to it. You add what I refer to as the candy to it. So you do quite a bit, and I think some people don't realize like how that ambiance, like the guitar ambiance that you're adding in the background, really does add to the song. Like it's almost like a shaker in a track.
Yeah,
where it's there and it's what makes the song, but until it's gone, you don't really realize that.
I like that.
Yeah. So let's talk about your other. Well, we didn't really finish talking about North Wind and the Sun. So the other member of the band is Brooke.
Yes.
When did you meet him?
I guess we met in high school. He's from Winneconne.
So you guess. So you guys, Pat.
Well, I don't know. He's a couple years older than me. He's like a cool dude, and in high school, a couple years is like worlds apart.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they're talking about like, oh yeah, I mean, he was a grade above me, so. And we still use that language. I love that. Like, that we still, to this, it's been decades, and we're like, oh yeah, he's above me. Like, he's better than me. And I love that. So yeah, we met in high school. I think we jammed twice right after high school. We did like a talent show. Not together, but we both did a similar thing with like loop pedals and just playing like some bluesy stuff. He plays like all sorts of instruments way better than me. He's like a better guitar player than me. It's very upsetting. He's the nicest guy too. It's like, oh, do you have any flaws? Come on, man.
Is he in any other bands?
No, not right now. He's been in bands. He's been in a bunch. But no, like when he moved, he was in Florida for a while and moved back, and we got in contact. We had jammed like twice, one like 12 plus years ago, like when I was in college, and like he was showing me guitar riffs. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like, wish I could play it, but and somehow we got in touch, and we've been playing music for a while, like 5 years or more maybe, but just like in the basement,
So you guys must have ran into each other obviously after high school, maybe crossing paths at a show or something, and then decided just to get together and start hashing out some songs.
Yeah, I think I just always thought he's a cool guy, and he's a nice guy too. So like somewhere like either right after high school, or maybe I was still in high school, like we ran into each other, I think like at Guitar Center or something. And I'm like, oh, like, yeah, he's like, yeah, we should jam sometime. Or maybe I said that. And we did like twice, and he moved, and like, and we hit it off when he came back. That's when we weren't really like close or anything. But now we are, I think.
And so he's also a guitar player. When you guys are writing songs for North Wind and the Sun, is he kind of coming up with riffs as well, or does he leave that to you?
So far, for the majority of it is just like here, I made this, and he's like, oh, that's really good. He's always the nicest guy. Like, oh, that's really good. And then every once in a while, he's like, what if you? Can I just show you? Like, I give him the guitar. He's like, what if you did something like this? And I'm like, well, first of all, I have to learn how to do that. That's, and then, and then like, I don't think I can do that while I'm singing, but like, that's really good. And he, I don't know. He probably will deny all this, but it's true.
How did Brooke feel about the set yesterday? Pretty happy with it?
Yeah, he's just always happy. He's like the nicest guy. He's like you. You're the nicest guy.
I don't know about the nicest, Todd, but I appreciate the compliment.
There's a lot of you guys that I just admire, like the nicest guys you have ever met. There's a few of you.
Well, let's talk about the scene a little bit again then.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's, like, have you met a lot of people through, like, the music thing, going to shows, playing in bands, and doing all that? And, like, I mean, I guess you've got, like, the shared interest of music.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like a big part of your friend base comes from that love of music?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's a short answer.
All right, I like it. And is there any talk of like I know you mentioned playing with Walt. You also have a good friend, RJ Nordland, who moved away.
Oh, yeah.
How did that move affect you? Because you guys, were pretty close.
Well, honestly, we didn't hang out that much, but I miss him. I miss his songs. I love seeing him. He's got that voice that will like devastate you. When I go to shows, I love, if a song will make me cry in public, oh yeah, that's what I'm out there for.
Have you been out to visit RJ at his new brewery?
No, I want to so bad. He invited me, like, I was like, just, he's like, yeah, and we'll get you playing shows. I just never follow through with it. I'm like, I would love to. I want to do all that, but I want to get out there. Yeah. You want to go?
Yeah, I would be down for going out there.
Have you gone out there?
I have not.
Let's do it.
I'm down.
All right.
And I guess it's just a matter of doing it, figuring out a time and getting out there. Which, do you feel nowadays that time is more crunched than it was, let's say, like 8 years ago?
I don't know. I think it just goes back to like, we don't, as a people around here, we avoid like going and do like, oh, that's kind of far. And like, oh, that would be a thing, it would be like, we'd have to actually plan it, and I think a lot of us are anxious and nervous about doing stuff like that. I don't know about time crunch.
I agree with what you said. I feel like just even thinking of other events like Water City Racket Fest and things like that, where I've gone, but there's also been years where it's like, this is going on or whatever. So I guess it goes to kind of what you were saying, it's 22 minutes away or whatever. But
yeah, it can that can be a deal breaker. Like, I don't know.
Do you have a favorite place to perform?
The next one.
The next one. Was there a venue or something, a place that stood out in your mind as being really fun that you wouldn't mind going back to?
I think like it's fun. I would, the Reptile Palace in Oshkosh has like always been a staple of like a lot of bands, and I would love to be part of that. Like, love to play there. I don't know. I would like to play more. Yeah.
So you've played at the Reptile before?
Years ago, before I was ready, me and my younger sibling played there. We filled in for somebody that couldn't make it. I think this is like, honestly, I think it was the present age. They were sick or something. I think it was like their first year. This is a long time ago. And yeah, I and one of the other bands was like, "Hey, can you do this?" And we were playing at the New Moon the same night, and we're like, "Yeah, we'll just come right over." And then we like, they're like, "Yeah, but don't do any covers." I'm like, "Oh, we don't have many songs," and we're like started setting up. They're like, "Who are you?" We're like, "Oh, they said we could fill in," and they're I've talked to them since then, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like you should play here." And I have not followed through on anything, but yeah, like I remember like, oh gosh, like yeah, you can use our drums, and they got like triggers on the drums, whatever band was before us, and it was just like so different. And I was like, oh no, I played through an amp I've never played through, and it was like it was fun to do, but we weren't ready. We weren't supposed to do it. We shouldn't have done it.
It turned out well though.
You see through me. Yeah. Yeah, I think it went well.
What's your opinion on the late start times at the Reptile? Like notorious for 10 o'clock start times. Is that something that, do you feel more people would come out to the Reptile if if the shows were starting at, let's say, like 8 o'clock?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of like that because I like what they do because it feels right there. It feels like, yeah, this is a late night place. This is, yeah. I don't know.
Good answer. You've made it through to Band Reaction, which is the segment during the show where we play a clip from a previous guest, and then we get your reaction after. The clip we're going to play is from a band that was on last week, Rictus, Grin. I'm using their pen right here.
Oh yeah, that's good merch.
Oh yeah, they were on last week, and we had a kind of a nice conversation that when Larry made this pen. Oh, you know what? Oh, we're gonna have to hold off on that. We're getting a phone call.
Ooh.
Let's see who. If I can.
Is it about your car's extended warranty?
You are on the line with Todd Balke. What's your question?
Hey, Todd.
Hi.
So my question is a little weird, but I want to know, have you ever had any close encounters at a venue before a show? Say you need to go to the bathroom. Bathrooms are available. It's crowded. Do you have any sort of, I guess, thing that you do to make sure that you're not going to have any bathroom issues during shows?
Oh, wow. That's
a kind of a deep thinking question.
That's a good question. Yeah. Like,
something that's the dark side of being a musician that people don't think about.
yeah, as an anxious person, I guess you kind of like, I'm an anxious person. And you think about like, you're always thinking about, can I go to the bathroom? Will I be able to go to the bathroom? That's like something that runs, that's that's a program that's running in your mind all the time. So like yesterday, I was like, oh, we got 10 minutes. I'm going to go pee quick because I don't have to, but like, I don't want to like halfway through be like, I really need a pee. What are we going to do? Another half hour. I don't think it's just an hour set. I don't want to take a break. I don't know. I think you do what you got to do. I don't know whether that's like run to the next building or something, the next venue. Like, I just got quick to use the bathroom, or I don't know. I don't know.
That question fits in well with the Reptile Palace conversation because that's a bathroom where, if depending on which one you have to do, and thank you for the call. The caller dropped off. Depending on which one you have to do, that could be pretty bad.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's something you always, I would avoid that if you can. Not everybody can avoid that. I am lucky to say, I haven't had that experience there, but oh boy. Oh.
Well, thanks again for the call. We're gonna do band reaction now with Rictus, Grin.
Let's do that.
Band reaction. Band reaction. That last caller, they asked what bands you like the least, two local bands. I don't know if you answered that part.
I think I can easily say that any cover band is overrated.
That's true. I would agree with that because
Yeah.
And it's hard because as an original band, when we go to a venue and you're watching somebody play somebody else's music in a cover band making 4 times as much as we would ever make and getting people requesting them, that's tough because we're like, this is our heart and soul in original music.
Yeah.
We're not just duplicating something that's already done. So
Yeah. And
it's a quandary, right? So
Yeah. I mean,
there's talent. People in original bands are or cover bands are talented, but what could they do if they were writing their own stuff? It'd be
probably
sky's the limit, I think.
Yeah, I think, and I always encourage anyone who's playing covers, just write original music. If you're already halfway there, you're already, I try to say, just write original, because if you can do this, you should be able to do, that. It's, I don't know. Some of them made the turn to the dark side.
Don't get too bad at us cover bands. I've played in cover bands.
So what?
Don't get too
You
bad.
have? Yes. Well, that's a bad
Am I
meeting.
out? I guess I'm out.
Well, that was Rictus Grin. What's your reaction to that?
Oh, I mean, I don't hate cover bands. For the longest time, that's all I knew there was. There's stuff on the radio, and there's like you go out if like growing up, when you went into town, you're going to Winneconne, and if there's a band playing, it's either like a blues cover band or, like 60s and 70s cover band. And I had, like in high school, started playing guitar, and I'm like, I guess if I want to do music, like I'm either in a blues band or, I'm going to play Brown Eyed Girl 3 times during a 3-hour set. And it wasn't until like, I don't know, a few years into college that I'm like, oh, you guys are like doing stuff. Like, where are you from? Like the first time I saw the Traveling Suitcase or Nicholas Raymond playing with Steph from Orly, like that was a game changer. I was like, where are you guys from? Like I went to an open mic to play some covers with my buddy in college. We just kind of halfway learn a cover and then go play it at an open mic, and then you run into I remember seeing them for the first time and like, oh, we're not playing tonight, and like we're not doing what we just kind of practiced, and be like, wait, where are you from? Like, what's going on? They're like, from Oshkosh. I'm like, what? And that's like, oh, people are writing music and it's good. And like my favorite music is local music, I think, for the most part,
Glad you brought that up. That was a good answer. And the local music being your favorite music. So when you're going to a festival like Mile of Music, where it's probably maybe not half and half, maybe half and I don't know what the percentage is, but let's say half local music, half out of state. Do you prioritize seeing the out of state bands, or do you tend to see the local bands?
Well, when you become chummy with like the local bands, there is an obligation when you haven't seen them for a while. Like, I want to catch your set. I want to like do that, but definitely I'm excited. Sometimes, if you're playing that festival, you're very limited as to what you're seeing. So like, hopefully you have, somebody that you don't know playing right before you, and like, oh, where are they from? I think last summer, playing with Walt, is it Nathaniel Graham from Chicago? He played right after us, and it was like, whew, it was right up my alley. I was like, that is really nice. I love this.
So you like the happy surprises.
Oh yeah.
Want to give a shout out to Robin. Robin says, Rictus Grin. Woo. Robin, how you doing? Robin was here last week for the taping of that show. Thanks for chiming in, Robin. And we had a comment from Sandra. She said, I've heard that some musicians have wet themselves on stage.
Oh.
What would you do if you wet yourself on stage? Would you try to just put the guitar down lower, or what would your solution be to fix that?
Think that happens once, you just got to go with it, and you got to do it every time. That's your thing.
What a great video. A long pointless goodbye to no one from the band North Wind and the Sun. That probably was pretty cool when that video came out, wasn't it?
Again, it was like, wow, we're like a real band now. It like there was, yeah.
Did you question if that was you in the video? Like, did it seem like you were kind of watching somebody else?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it always anytime I have like some dysmorphia, so it's like, oh yeah, that's what I look like. Yeah, you know. Anytime I see a reflection of myself too, so anytime I'm tagged in a picture, I'm like, oh, that's me. Okay.
Well, North Wind and the Sun, you guys put out like I guess it would be a full album because an EP is five songs. This was over that. Songs like Whiskey, Solid Gold, and your music has a blues rock kind of feel to it. Do you get a lot of comparisons to the Black Keys and bands like that because you're a two-piece playing blues rock?
That video, that song, I mean, that is a Black Keys song. Like when I wrote it, I'm like, oh, I wrote a Black Keys song. I mean, I wrote it, but it's a Black Keys song.
It's maybe like heavily influenced by the Black Keys.
Yeah, but I mean, I could get like, I think it's close enough. It's heavily enough influence. Like, you know, if enough people hear it, they'd be like, yeah, so, you know, we have the rights to that. That's our sound. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
Classic Todd.
I mean,
cutting down his work. Well, I mean, it's just
I'm not cutting it down. I like it. I love the Black Keys.
I think it's just, yeah, and that's why you're influenced by it. It's what you like. Like, I mean, I think it's sort of hard to write something new if you're going to compare it, like, you know, because there's just billions of songs out there. You could write any kind of riff and say, well, this sounds like this or that.
Oh, that's all I ever do. And when I see other bands, I'm like, oh yeah, that's their whatever. And everybody does, like, that's how you write music, is you get influenced by stuff, and it's how like scenes have a sound. Like there might be an Appleton sound for a certain genre or something. I don't know.
How did you get involved with Nicholas Raymond's video? Was that Cincy or was that Color? Okay, so that was Cincy. You're heavily featured in the video. Were you friends with Nicholas and he just said, hey, do you want to play this big part in my video? How did that come about?
I think it's hard to admit, like, I am friends with a lot of these people, and we don't all, you know, it's like, I'm not like main friends with a lot of these musicians, but I'm a fan more than anything. Traveling Suitcase was like one of the most important bands in my life, and at one point they're gonna shoot this video, and Nicholas invited me to like be an extra, and the whole time I'm like, man, guys, it feels like I won like a like a game show like prize or something. Like, you get to be in this video. And then I kept punching up their script. I'm like, what if I do this? And what if I do this? And they're also like nice, and they're like, yeah, let's do that. I was just gonna be like in the background, and I ended up like changing the kind of a lot of it just by like being kind of goofy and offering different takes. I'm like, let's do that one again. Just, I don't know. It was super funny. That's where I met the guys from Horace Greene too. I met Tony and Sam there. I had like known about them, and hadn't really seen the band, but yeah, I met them there, and they just shot a music video a few months ago. They were telling you about it on this program, and you know, it might be a spoiler, but I'm gonna be in that one too.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Have they told you when that's going to come out? Because I've been kind of patiently waiting.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be very patient, I think.
Okay.
You know, they're very like they're very good at doing everything. They're really I think they think about this stuff a lot and they do it well. And I think they just have like a good plan and they'll probably stick to it, like releasing singles. And I don't know, I can't speak for them. But yeah, they're pretty cool. I don't know. You might see me with them too sometime.
Like playing guitar with them?
Yeah.
I love it, Todd. This is good. You're dropping some good exclusives
It's
here.
pretty. I don't know that. Maybe that's.
Have you
It
j-
wouldn't be a secret, but
Have you jammed with them a bunch of times?
a couple times now.
Good chemistry and good feeling when you're
It's-
doing it?
Andy, it's so embarrassing. I'm like, yeah, I got it, and then I'm like, oh, that wasn't it, and like, they're so patient and such sweet guys. It's like this, and I'm like, I know how to do it. I'm just not doing it right now. I'll get it. I'll get it. It's like, can you play this note? And I'm like, yeah, I'll play it here. And then, you might kind of look and I'm like, oh, I missed it. I missed that chord. Okay. But yeah, we got together a couple times. I'm hoping I don't know. I love that band. I listened to like Diamond Engine, I think is their second album. I listen to it all the time. I love it.
How, like, in the gear are you? I mean, you've got like a good bluesy sound. Are you into amplifiers or effects pedals or guitars?
I'm into that stuff, and like I'll get like I have like a bunch of different pedals for like, oh, that would be good for this sound and this sound, and then I just like, nah, just a little bit of distort, like a little, and I don't change it. Yesterday I switched pickups a couple times. I almost never do that. Just keep it on the bridge, and if it's too trebly, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna change.
So you're not really messing with you're not constantly.
I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's what some people like. So are you like kind of punk rock? Are you punk? I'm like, no, I'm just like bad.
I saw that you had a backup guitar ready to go yesterday, so that's good. Some people don't do that. Have you busted a string during a set before?
I played with Walt Hamburger. We did like a full band thing in Milwaukee last summer, and at the what's it called? X-Ray Arcade. Is that a place?
It sounds
Cut
right.
eight?
I know what you're talking about, but yeah, it's the arcade or X-ray, something like that.
Something like that. And oh my gosh! And when I was just doing whatever it is I do with him, and I broke a string, and I'm like, you don't need a B string really. And then I was like, oh, I think all I need is a B string. Like, I think that's the only string I play. It's just trying to save it. And so at the last minute yesterday, I was like, I should probably bring another guitar. And I didn't need it, but
Is Walt pretty easygoing when you're playing with him?
yeah, he's always like, yeah, that's good. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, but play faster. I'm like, this fast as I can go, man. Like, I'm like a slow blues player in my heart of hearts. I'm like an old dad, just like, oh yeah, play that. Like what Steve said yesterday. He's like, you ever hear of Gary Moore? I'm like,
He asked
yeah,
me
man.
the same thing.
Yep. Like, yeah, man, I love Gary Moore. Rest in peace. Like, he's that tone. Oh my gosh, the sustain on those bends. Oh, yeah. I don't play like that.
So we talked a lot about North Wind and the Sun, but you're in another project with your sibling called Actual Siblings.
Yeah. That's so yeah, my little sibling, I always say little sibling, they play drums, and like when they first started playing drums, I had already been playing guitar, and they learn the basic rock beat, and I'm like, it's good enough. let's start playing. Let's start playing together. That's all we need to do. And maybe that was like the wrong kind of support, when somebody's learning an instrument. Like, no, you can do one thing. That's it. That's all you need to do. But yeah, whenever we play stuff, it's just, again, fun, like pretending we're in a band and then like, I don't know.
How many songs does Ackling have written at this point?
Like 8 that we're comfortable with. And some of those overlap with North Wind and the Sun because it's just like stuff I wrote 10 years ago. And like that. So Actual Siblings predates North Wind and the Sun. And we just, again, I don't like play out much. So
is it easier to play with your sister than it is with Brooke?
It's easier in different ways, like for both. My sibling Sean, we have this thing that siblings have where you don't need to look at each other for like, oh, we know this song is done here. We never played it like that, but we both, like there's that kind of like intuition you have with family that you're like, okay, like oh, we're gonna get faster here. We're not, maybe not supposed to get faster, but I feel like we're about to get faster, and we do, and that's fun. And then Brooke is just like, again, such a good musician that like, if I'm messing up, he'll fix it for me somehow. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you saved us because I'm the one messing up, but he's like, oh, we're shifting gears right here, and he'll lead me into another part somehow. Like it's fun. You can get caught like playing the song. You're both, in a band, you're playing music with somebody, and you're both like playing the parts, and it goes together. And then sometimes you're playing together, and you forget that sometimes, and that's always exciting. Like, oh no, we're playing together. We're like feeling it. And I get that with both of them.
You had a chance to check out some of the studios in the Fox Cities area, like
No.
Rock Garden or any of those?
I've been to like a lot of the tapings at Rock Garden, and I always love that. I love that they do that, and they're starting that up again. And but no recording. The only recording I've ever done was with like a Tascam Porta studio, the digital ones, and now Brooke and I are working on like the cassette one because the digital one was a little too many options for me.
Have you thought about maybe just going to a studio and doing some recording to kind of take that grief off of you? You could focus more on the actual recording.
That's like the dream, I guess, someday.
I know Steve McCabe from Redshift Headlights has a studio called, I think it's Big Garage Studios in Oshkosh.
Cool.
It's in his garage, and he's got like a big board. Stuff you think of when you think of a studio. You need a big board and stuff like that. But so you'd entertain the idea.
Oh, of course. I think, it's like you gotta, sometime, hopefully soon we can get to that point. We haven't, like, with anything, haven't put the time in for any of this.
So I'm sensing a kind of theme here, Todd.
Yeah.
You just need to take the step.
Yeah, I'm very reluctant. I have like all this angst and stuff, and then there's no like gumption to get things going ever.
Well, if you need to get something mastered, I'd recommend Justin Perkins down at Mystery Room Mastering.
Yeah.
It's the phenomenal.
I'll probably do that with whatever we're cooking in the basement right now, because just a cassette tape, if he can fix that. And I met him at the grilled cheese party a number of years ago.
Such a cool guy, and he's
Yeah.
very, very knowledgeable. Like he's and super personable as far as helping like bands get to the sound they want, and very patient, which I think is very important doing that job.
Yeah.
So you're working on stuff now. When are we going to get to hear that? When is that going to be ready to put out into the world?
I don't know. It's very slow going. very slow going. So I don't know. I would like. I mean, hopefully. I don't know. I don't know. There's no way of knowing.
Well, I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah.
Is there a place that people should go to find out more about North Wind and the Sun or actual siblings? Like, is there a website?
You can just call me. We'll
Just
talk.
call Todd.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That's how it goes. I don't know if you want to know more. Like, I'll hang out.
Well, you mentioned before the show you're not really big on social media. I know both bands have Facebook pages, but is that social media something you don't like doing, promoting and all that kind of stuff that comes with being in a band?
Yeah, like the whole even being in a band thing feels silly, you know. Or like I like doing like acoustic solo shows, but like to book it and then to do it, I'm always like, oh, this is silly, man. Like that's why like a band thing is better because you're kind of all in it together. I'm like, oh yeah, look at me. Again, I like that other people are doing it, doing the social media out there, putting themselves out there, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. No, don't look at me, and yet I want to be a musician. So it's a tough dichotomy, if I can use that word incorrectly, if you allow it.
So if you want to find out more about Texas Butter Todd, how did he get the Texas Butter moniker too?
Oh my gosh, it was just
Did somebody bestow that upon you, or did you come up with that yourself?
Yeah, no, I didn't ask for it. It's the worst nickname, but I'll just roll with it for life, I think. But yeah, like when I met you, I think was in those foggy years of when I would introduce myself as Texas Butter Todd. I'm like, hi, I'm Texas Butter Todd. Nice to meet you. And I don't remember all of that, but yeah, it was like I was in this project. We were doing like a lot of Western themed stuff, and you know, there's something about gravy and somebody's looking up like Western terms and Texas butter means beef gravy or something like that in like Old West. I don't know. That's all foggy to me. I just remember being like, oh, like they're like, yeah, that would be a good nickname for you. I'm like, oh, it sounds so gross. Texas butter? Oh, and it's my initials? Oh no, please don't call me Texas Butter. And then, you know, cut to a week later, I'm like, I'm Texas Butter Todd. It's nice to meet you.
You've got some smooth guitar playing, so I thought maybe it had something to do with your playing style.
Yeah, that's the only like good take you could ever get from that. It's just like a disgusting sounding name, which is kind of funny. I like being silly, so I'm like, yeah, this is gross. Do I pronounce your last name right as well? It is Balke, right, or is it different? Oh, honestly, I think you're getting it. I never pronounce it right.
So how do you pronounce it?
I always just say bulky, like
Balke,
I'm
okay.
bulky.
Okay, Balke.
But it's not. I'm pretty sure it's Balke or however you said it. I've never said it right.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll go with Balke if that's how you say it because it's your name. So
No, it's
So to find out more about Todd Balke, Texas Butter Todd Balke, you can go to Facebook. He doesn't like Facebook, but you can check out both bands, North Wind and the Sun, and Actual Siblings on Facebook. You can check out Actual Siblings today at the Oshkosh Main Street Music Fest, and just call Todd if you want to find out about future shows.
yeah. Let's talk. Let's hang out.
Todd, thank you for joining me on Fox Cities Core today. It was great to get to sit down with you and find out more about you.
I really like you, Andy. You're a cool guy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again. You've been watching Fox Cities Core on WCZR, New Rock for New Radio, Code Zero Radio.